Hey everyone, I'm live. Just going to do a recording today of the next part of the SEO course that I'm creating, which is pretty awesome. And yeah, it's it's Monday. Hope everyone's having a great Monday. Monday for me is pretty straightforward. I mean, I just work. I don't do any exercise because usually on the weekends I have like a bunch of tournament games. This weekend I had 3 different basketball tournament games. So today's kind of like a recovery day for me. Uh, I'll do some, I may go to the gym or just do weights here at home, but usually I just take it pretty easy. And then tomorrow I'll probably play some pickup basketball and continue to stream. I've been streaming every single day for the last couple months. Let me check my sound here on the live feed. Let's see, Facebook. Make sure that we are, that there is, the sound's fine. Let's see. Let's see, 1, 2, check. Perfect. Okay. So that sounds good. So yeah, I'm going to be recording part 1, module 4. Oh, sorry. This is part 2. Sorry, this should be part 2. So I know it says part 1 in the description, but let me just fix that real quick. On the description here. Yeah, this is part 2. Wait, no, sorry. It is part 1. Dang, totally forgot. Okay. Yeah, this is module 4, part 1. And it's all about editing content. Yeah, so this is part 2. Sorry, I gotta edit that. Just looking at all the modules that I've created so far. Yeah, this is part 2. I mean, it kind of gets a little bit complicated as I'm getting into the weeds here of some of this SEO stuff. And I mean, it's fun. I like doing it because this is what I do for a living. And I know that by creating this course, I'm going to be, creating an asset online that I can sell, whether it's selling the actual course itself in the future or selling services that come with the course, right? A lot of the time people will take the course, or this course will edify my business or give my, the client or a potential client the confidence to go into business with me because they know that I know what I'm talking about because I've created a course around, search engine optimization, which is the whole point is to create this and create passive income. Passive income has been really important for me, as an entrepreneur, living in a different country, in my home country, which is a different country, to the one that I was raised in. I was raised in the United States in California. So living in Colombia and not having any education at all, I don't have a college degree or anything. I just have a high school degree from the United States. Being able to make money online and, employ people and create a business out of it has been amazing because it's opened a lot of doors for me, not only personally, but it's also helped me make other people's lives better by either employing them or through the work that we actually do for drug and alcohol rehab centers in the United States, and through the charitable projects that we've done and that we continue to do here in Colombia. So today I'm going to be recording module 4, part 2 of the SEO course that I'm creating. It's going to be a 7-module course, so I'm in the middle of the course, literally. It's module 4, part 2. So this is right smack dab in the middle of it. So this should be done by the end of this month. Then it has to be edited and then put up on my platform on my own website, where it'll be for free for anybody that's part of my newsletter. The link to the newsletter is in the description of this live broadcast. If you'd like to have the whole entire SEO course for free, you'll get it if you're part of the newsletter. Eventually, I'll sell the course. But again, the idea is to create an asset online for me to either monetize or to use to edify my business, to give potential clients and potential businesses that want to, do business with our digital marketing agency, the confidence that we know what we're doing based on the fact that I've created an SEO course out of it. And also, the biggest reason why I want to do this is because I learned how to do all of this on my own for free. I don't think I've ever paid for an online course on how to do digital marketing. So everything that I've learned for free from my mentors in the space, like Neil Patel, Brian Dean, etc. All of this information's out there. This is just another way to wrap a gift, right? You're giving it for free for someone that hopefully will take it and change their life, just like I did with the information that I gained from mentors and people that put their courses online for free. So let's get started with this video. I've got to record it. So this is a live recording. So I write down everything that I read, or everything that I say in the video is written down, and I'm reading it through like a script, because these are well thought out courses and I want to give the most information and the most value, even if it's free. I know that there's a lot of people out there that will say, if someone gets something for free, they're not going to value it. That's fine. I'm not here to change everyone's life. I'm just here to reach that one person that's looking to figure out this search engine optimization game and maybe get a couple clients and then eventually start their own business or start their own career path in digital marketing. So I know that this is it's not going to be valuable to everyone that looks at it, but I want to give as much value no matter what to whoever's watching this. So let me record this. I'm actually going to turn off the notifications, just make sure that they're off. Oh yeah, they're off. Okay. All right, so I'm going to start recording right now. Welcome to SEO Hacks with Andrew. My name is Andrew Messia. This is part 2 of module 4, editing content for SEO. Today, I'm going to go deeper into content marketing and editing your content. Before we get started, let's go over what we've learned so far. In Module 1, Part 1 was the intro to SEO. Part 2 was keyword research, and Part 3 was advanced keyword research. In Module 2, Part 1, we went over on-page SEO intro. In Part 2, we talked about on-page SEO and technical SEO. And in Part 3, we did an SEO audit. In Module 3, Part 1, we had an intro to content marketing. And in Part 2, we had advanced content marketing. And then the first part of this module, Module 4, we went over the 10 steps to creating content, or my secret sauce In Module 4, Part 1, which was the lesson before this, we went over the 10 steps to creating content, or my recipe for the secret sauce to creating content that grows on the internet. So let's talk about editing content for SEO. Let's go over a quick quote by Ernest Hemingway, which is one of my favorites. The only kind of writing is rewriting. That means you'll constantly be writing. No matter when you get started and when you finish, you're going to constantly be writing and rewriting, adding, editing, etc. especially when it comes to search engine optimization, content for search engine optimization, etc. If you're not happy with what you've written thus far, don't worry. You're going to be editing it. Just start creating. There's a whole editing process that will follow. By now, you should know what keywords you're going after and how difficult they are to rank for, because we've gone over keyword research and you've created your list. You've pinpointed the keywords that you want to go after. You should also know where this content sits in your buyer's journey, whether it's an awareness piece, a consideration piece, or a decision-making piece. You should also have an outline for the content you've written. If this is a new piece that that has been written before and you don't have an outline for it, you're going to want to start making one. And we went over outlining in the previous lesson. If you just wrote the content that you're about to edit, I suggest that you let it sit for a couple hours or even a day. I like to let my content rest for a day and then I go back and make edits. I use Google Docs. My whole team uses Google Docs. It's just an easy and free way to organize things. On top of that, extensions such as Grammarly integrate very well with Google Docs. So it's my preferred method of writing content, or my preferred tool for writing content. So let's go over the 5 steps to editing. Number 1, be brief. Although your word count may be high, it doesn't mean you should include fluff just to meet your certain word count, because we talked about researching our content in the previous lesson and we figured out that word count is very important. You want to make sure that you're meeting the word count or exceeding the word count of your top competitors, but that doesn't mean that you want to include a bunch of fluff in your content. It kind of reminds me of when we used to write essays in high school. They'd tell you, oh, you need a 500-word essay, and then you're trying to, instead of use contractions, you're using there are or there is. You want to write naturally, and you want to write with as much intent and value as possible. You don't want to just include a bunch of words just to meet a word count. You want it to be valuable for the reader. Remember, your number one professor in this game of SEO is not Google, it's the reader. Google is second. You want to write for your buyer, for your reader, for a human being, because Google is going to get smarter and they're continuously evolving to the point where they want to be like a human being. So you want to make sure that your content is not full of fluff or stuffed with words just to meet a word count. Fluff content weakens the message. It wastes the reader's time and decreases writing comprehension. The content should be valuable. Start the editing process by removing or rewriting fluff content. So this content that you've already written, or let's say it's an old piece and you've noticed that it's been missing some things or it's just not hitting keywords and you want to edit it for keyword purposes, for SEO purposes, the first thing you want to do is remove any fluff content. And what can that be? An easy way to detect unnecessary words is by running your content through an app like the Hemingway app or Grammarly. Those apps will help you reduce the use of unnecessary words like most, really, perhaps, in order to, stuff, things, very, better, always, etc. For example, take a look at this sentence. Those words don't really add value. The word really in that sentence is completely unnecessary. I can easily write that by saying, those words don't add value. You don't need the word really in there. And an app like Grammarly or the Hemingway app, which are both free, will detect those and tell you, hey, you're using a redundant word or an unnecessary word, because those apps are created for readability purposes. I was an English teacher for 5 years, yet I continue to make grammar mistakes and spelling mistakes. That's why I use apps like Grammarly and Hemingway, and I insist that my writers use them as well. Number 2, technical jargon and data. You may be an expert in your field, maybe you're not an expert, but you want to write to come across as if you were an expert, but you don't want to saturate your writing with technical jargon and data. Your buyer persona may be very smart, or your buyer personas. They may be very smart. Your intended audience might be of college education, etc. This is why it's very important to understand your buyer persona. Regardless, you want to make your content as simple as possible, as simple to read as possible, because not everyone has 2 hours to read a whole 5,000 word article. Even though your target word count may be very high, like 5,000 words, it doesn't mean that someone's going to sit there for 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours to read your entire document. They want to scan and they want to easily read it. So don't fill your content up with a bunch of technical jargon and data, statistics, etc. Don't saturate it. It's okay to add as much data and technical info as possible in your first draft. As you start to edit, go through and simplify as much as possible. Remember, use the Hemingway app to check readability. That is one of the goals. If you get anything out of this course at all, the Hemingway app is a golden nugget. If you can run your content through the Hemingway app and optimize your content for readability using that app, you're going to start seeing some wins. Number 3, content flows. Having a good outline is essential. You may not be very good at outlining content yet. We went over outlines in the previous lesson, and you may have just started, and that's okay. Your outline may be small, or maybe you have content that you've created, but your outlines aren't great, or maybe you don't even have outlines yet, but you want to start creating outlines. Let's say that you're editing a piece that you've already created. Maybe it's got a year on the internet and it just didn't get any traction. Start by, doing step number 1 and step number 2. Now, step number 3 is to create an outline for it. Even if the content's not good right now, create the outline, because you're going to improve on that outline as we go through this lesson. So, content flowing. Having an outline is essential. Making it a great outline is very important. You may not be very good at outlining content yet, but you want to get started. As you're editing your existing content, go back to the outline and expand upon it. You can use it as a template for future posts or for the writers that you're going to hire in the future. That's why you want to get into the habit of writing outlines. I made the mistake of not outlining content as I started my career, and it took me a lot longer to assemble a team of writers that could write without having to go back and forth for days sometimes with content, because I would edit it, then they would edit it, and then we'd send it to the client. The client wouldn't like it and edit it, and then we'd have to come back and edit it. And you could understand how frustrating that whole process was at the beginning, until we perfected our outlining skills, and now our editing process is very, very small. You want to minimize the amount of editing that you do. You're always going to be editing, but you want to minimize it. You don't want to be editing grammar mistakes. You don't want to be editing buyer persona intention. That's like huge. That's one of the biggest ones. For example, let's say you create a content piece for an awareness, for the awareness section for your client's buyer persona. This is an informational piece saying, the difference between depression and sadness. Maybe they are a psychologist, a website for a psychologist, or a mental health blog or whatever. And the ultimate goal, the buying stage, is for them to either create an appointment with the psychologist or download the mental health app or whatever it is. But you're not leading the reader to that point in the conclusion, or alluding to that in the conclusion, and then your client says, hey, well, this is a great piece, but what value does it have to my business? Then you're like, okay, crap, I have to go back and figure out how am I going to lead this into a sale eventually, or into the next stage, which is consider us for your mental health needs, etc. So those things can be very frustrating. So as you start to create your content or edit the existing content, is to make sure that it flows and it follows an outline. And if you already have an outline created, make sure that the outline's open as you're editing the content. Because as you edit content and you realize the things that are missing, you're going to add that to the outline, because the next piece that you write or that you have written by someone else, you're going to use that outline as a template. Take this for consideration. Have you ever watched a movie or a television show that's hard to follow? Most people don't watch those shows or TV. Most people don't watch those movies or shows for long. The same goes for your content. If your article is all over the place, the reader isn't going to stick around for long. As you edit your article, check the subheadings. Make sure that there's a progression that makes sense. Also, make sure that you're not stuffing keywords into subheadings. One of my biggest pet peeves is when I get a new writer and I give them the outline and I tell them, hey, this is the keywords that we want to focus on. And then every single subheading has that same keyword or has the same keyword or the location of the place. There's no need for that in SEO. Also, make sure that you're not, a subheading should lead into that section. Make it simple and logical for the reader. Remember, the subheadings are mostly so to break up content, just like an image would. You have a subheading because everyone scrolls when they read content, especially if it's long-form content. Long-form content is the content that statistically is proven to drive more keywords positioned, more organic traffic. So the longer your content, the more you're going to have to break it up with subheadings. So you want these to be logical and easy to follow and easy to skim. That applies to your conclusion too. You can simply label your conclusion. You don't have to be creative there, especially if this is an awareness piece or even a consideration piece, because people want to know when the thing is over, especially if you're scrolling. Like, for example, I'm one of these type of readers where I am captivated by the first sentence or even the heading, and then I scroll all the way down to the conclusion, and based on the conclusion, I'll determine whether I'm going to read the entire article or not. If the conclusion leads me to like a hard sell or leads me to believe that this person isn't, or the person that wrote it isn't qualified or capable, etc. There's so many things that you can figure out from the conclusion. That makes I base my decision on whether I'm going to read the entire article or not, or I'm just going to skip to the next article that appears on Google. So number 4, pain points. When editing your content, keep your buyer persona in mind. I always go back to the buyer persona because this is who you're writing for. No matter what type of content you're writing, you're always writing for a buyer persona, and it always will depend on what part of the buyer's journey that persona is in. When editing your content, keep your mind on the buyer persona. No matter where the content lives in the buyer's journey, it should mention your persona's pain points. The more your reader can relate to the content, the better the chances are that they're going to convert. Ask yourself some questions as you're editing your existing content. Can you fit in examples or testimonials in your content? Facts and data will help you be more credible, but stories move the reader. Storytelling is an age-old marketing tactic, and it's age-old because it works. If you can get a reader to envision using your product or service, your conversion rate will increase. That being said, don't overuse your pain points. Make sure that you're using pain points and solutions to those pain points in a prudent and digestible manner for the reader. Finally, number 5, search engine optimization, SEO. And there's a reason why I put SEO at the end. Because if you notice, the first four points in this, the first 4 points in what I just went over there's a reason why I put SEO at the end. There's a reason why the first 4 points are all about people, a human being, about your buyer persona, because a lot of people start their content writing for SEO backwards. They start thinking about what the machine, Google, is going to think of or rank you for. How is its process for ranking? Where do I put my keywords? How many times am I going to mention my keywords? How many different variations of my keywords am I using, etc.? When you start your content like that, your editing process is going to be huge because you're not writing for a person. It doesn't become readable. Google won't like that. Anytime you're stuffing keywords and you're just writing for the machine, for the algorithm, for me, in my case, in my experience owning a digital marketing company, those pieces never gain any traction. The ones that gain the most traction are the ones that I tell the writer, here's the outline. Sometimes I'll even say, hey, you're a great writer. Don't even worry about the keywords. This is the topic we want to cover. And they start writing. And then once they're done writing it, then I say, okay, now let's optimize this for search engines. After you've gone in and simplified the content through those first 4 steps that we just went over, simplified content, added your pain points, maybe added some solutions, testimonials, etc. to the content. Even if it's an awareness piece, you want to add those or trickle those in or allude to them because you want to guide the reader in the path of the buyer journey. You want to optimize it for search engines. Did you include keywords you researched in the title, in the meta description? Is the keyword that you really want to get ranked for in the first 100 words? Are you mentioning it in the body, in the conclusion? Are you using semantic or synonyms to that keyword? Semantic keywords. Go through the on-page SEO checklist that I covered in Module 2, Part 2 of this course. Your keyword list may be big, and you may not be able to use all of the keywords in the content, and that's okay. Don't stuff your article with a bunch of keywords. I've said that before and I'll continue to say it. There's no need for that. Take a look at this article. I'm going to open it up here for you to check out. Let me show you a real life example. I know it's dark right now. There it is. Okay. So check out this article right here. What are the stages of alcohol? And I've used this as an example in a previous lesson. I'll zoom in here. This article has roughly 2,000 words, between 1,500 and 2,000 words in it. Now let's check how many keywords it ranks for. Let me log into Ahrefs. Again, you can use any keyword research tool or site auditing tool. I love to use Ahrefs. They're one of the leaders. I don't have an affiliate link for you. Again, I'm giving this information out for free for those of you in my newsletter, so there will be no affiliate links or anything yet. Check it out. This page alone, it has about 2,000 words written on it, yet it ranks for over 4,300 words. It ranks for more keywords than it actually has word content or word count. Why? Because Google is smart. It understands that there are synonyms to the keyword stages of alcoholism. There are a ton of synonyms. There's 4,600 of them that this page should rank for, and it ranks really high for a lot of those synonyms or semantic keywords. This is why I tell writers that there's no need to stuff. This is our keyword list, but we don't want to stuff all these keywords. We just want to be aware of them, because if there's a keyword there that we can create a whole section about, for example, early stage alcoholism, then that's what we're going to write about here. We're going to write 250 words about that. Identifying someone with middle stage alcoholism is another keyword. And I wonder if we actually rate. Let me just type in first stage. Let's see if that comes up at all. Let's see if the keywords, there we go. We rank for 10 different keywords with the keyword's first stage in it. The first stage of alcoholism is characterized by that. We are in position number 2, and that is searched for 150 times per month. First stage of alcoholism, we rank number 3, and that's searched for 100 times a month. Yet, we only mention it once in a header. It's not even in the meta description. It's not in the title. It's not in the H1 title, which is at the very top here. So that's why I'm telling you that there's no need to over optimize or stuff your content with keywords. So Google is smart. It understands that there are synonyms or semantic keywords that the page should be ranking for, and eventually, if you're doing everything else that we're going to go over in the rest of this module for your pages, you should be ranking for those semantic keywords as well. If your content is ranking for keywords already, like my page here that I just showed you as an example, check how you can logically add some of those keywords that maybe are ranking on page 2 or page 3 of the search engine, and add more content around those keywords. If your page is already ranking for keywords and getting traffic, you may want to install a heat mapping tool to it. There are a few free ones like crazyegg.com. Crazy Egg is created by Neil Patel. It's one of his many businesses, but it's a heat mapping application. If you have WordPress, you can download the plugin and use Crazy Egg to see how people are interacting with your page that's already getting traffic. If it's a new page, you may want to add it to your new page because eventually it will get traffic. If you're getting 100 people to it, you want to know how those 100 people are interacting with this blog post that you just created that's getting some traction. Where are they clicking? Are they clicking through to other pages? Where on the page are they reading the most, and when are they dropping off? Where can you improve the content, etc.? It's valuable to see all of these metrics. So the more information that you have about how your pages are performing, the better you can optimize them for search engine purposes. So those are the 5 steps to optimizing your content or editing your content and optimizing it for search engines. So now let's get into some of the action items I'd like you to do in this lesson. Number 1, I want you to edit your existing content. By now, you should already have written content, and I want you to edit at least one content piece using the 5 steps that we just went over. I want you to edit your existing content and check off each step as you go through. In number 2, I want you to improve your outline. I want you to improve on the outline you already have for this piece of content. If the content was written a long time ago and you don't have an outline, then I want you to create an outline for it and make it a very good outline. From the introduction, what should be mentioned, the keywords that should be mentioned, the word count, the subheadings in the body, and then what the conclusion should include. Remember, we went over this in the last lesson, so you should know what is involved in creating a good outline. You want to get into the habit of creating great outlines because the whole idea is for you to grow in this business or as a career. And eventually you're going to be overseeing an editor or you're going to be overseeing writers, and you want to have outlines for them. So you want to start creating outlines. If you're watching this video on YouTube, there's a link in the description to the module page on my website where you can download or see the whole transcript of this video. Thank you for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. I'll see you in the following video. Thanks. Destin, how you doing? Hope you're having a great day. I just finished recording that video for the SEO course that I'm creating. And it is very hot in this room right now because I don't like to turn on the air conditioning because sometimes it makes noise. But yeah, so this is module 4, part 2. I'm halfway through the entire course. It'll be edited and put on my website. And I'll be giving it out for free if you sign up for my newsletter, and it'll teach you how to optimize your website to get organic traffic, or maybe a client's, website. I started, creating or working for clients, and I didn't know how to do any of this. I learned it all on my own through free resources. That's why I want to give it out for free. So it's very important for me to give this information. I'm at a stage in my life and in my career where not only do I want to create more passive income, different sources of income, because I'm 41 and I don't want to be sitting in front of a desk working for clients for the next 10 years. I'd rather sit in front of a desk and create assets that can create passive income for me for the next 10 years and even further. So this is just the beginning of that, creating a beginner course, or I consider it beginner to intermediate course in search engine optimization for organic traffic. And then I'm going to create an advanced one, and maybe even for certain niches like drug rehab, or, I've worked with attorneys before, I've worked with dentists, doctors, etc. So there, search engine optimization, this course and the information that I give in this course can be applied to any industry, but there are some industry specific things that you should know when optimizing for, let's say, a drug and alcohol rehab center, or a dentist, or an accident attorney, etc. There's different things that can, from keyword research to even things that you can and can't mention on page, etc. So for me, it's fun to do because it's something I've been doing for the last 15 years now. And not only is it fun, but it's easy. I know this like the back of my hand. I don't have to, literally, it took me to create this module, even though it was only, I spent 25 minutes recording this one video right now. I don't need to do multiple takes because I know what I'm talking about. I wrote the thing, it's not something that I'm just learning. So I really want to give this information out for free. And I don't know where this SEO course will lead, whether it will lead to passive income through the sale of the course itself, passive income through consulting or creating a consulting firm with people with the company that I already work with, maybe, a downloadable version where I sell it as an ebook or whatever. The whole point is to create content. If I know one thing about the internet, is that the more content you create and the more valuable that content is, there is many paths can open from that. So that's what I'm doing. That's why I'm going live every single day, whether it's playing video games or creating this SEO course. I want to continue creating and publishing content because eventually it'll all catch up. Right now, nobody knows who I am. Eventually, some people will know and some people will pay. So that's I think that's the name of the game, right? In life, is to acquire enough knowledge or create enough things where eventually you get paid for it. So I hope you guys had a great day. It is 3:21 here in Medellin, Colombia right now. So the day is not over yet. I'm going to finish some stuff up, and then I'm going to probably play video games for the rest of the evening. Today's my rest day from sports and the gym. So I'll be playing pretty much all night, just like I do pretty much every night anyway. Even when I go to the gym or I play basketball, I play video games every day. And sometimes I feel like a 12-year-old, but sometimes I feel like that's a great thing because my life is pretty awesome.